currently going through your wilderness season? Perhaps you feel judged and misunderstood by society, while at the same time that you know that you are the center of God's will. It's interesting how competitive we are as people walking in our different life paths. Yes, different life paths. How we often forget this very important aspect of our individual callings. Competitive and judgmental we are as humans. When people make decisions that are different to the ones that we would have made if we were in a similar situation, we are quick to criticize and judge that decision based on who we are. It's important to realize that our decision making is based on our character traits, our past experiences and family backgrounds that ultimately determine who we are at a given time in our lives. Based on the type of family one comes from, you may be conservative in your life decision making or be liberated to make decisions that are best for your situation. People are taught to make bold and liberated life decisions, which often leads to personal freedom and fulfillment, as opposed to the strict and traditional backgrounds which encourage the calculated and conservative approach. Society predominantly judges from the latter, making it a bit difficult for someone who seeks to walk closely with God and being led by the Holy Spirit's revelation. Moving with God requires one to make personal decisions that do not make sense to the average person on the street. This is not a peculiar concept at all if you consider many of the great biblical characters that allowed God to use them mightily. Take Moses, for instance. He grew up in a palace, was most probably raised as an Egyptian until adulthood. He spent the first 40 years of his life learning in Egypt. The next 40 he spent learning in Midian, caring for the sheep, and the last 40 years were spent in the wilderness. These three sections of his life appear unique and unrelated, yet God was working out his destiny in all of them. I would like to imagine that the Egyptian authorities were very arrogant. Had it been one of the enslaved Israelites who approached Pharaoh, he probably would have been killed at the first attempt. But Moses was well known and maybe liked at the palace, so he had favor to approach Pharaoh. Now let's also look at the life of Paul the Apostle in the New Testament. As noted in his letter to the Galatians, he spent 3 years in the desert of Arabia after his conversion. This was a time of reflection as he found himself in much confusion after the vision near Damascus. That time was required for intellectual and theological readjustment before he was equipped as an apostle. There's no doubt that his conversion was psychologically traumatizing and could have left him very confused for some time. It's my conviction that we all will, at some point in our lives, go through a season of great turmoil. A season where we are most isolated from others, making it difficult for others to relate to us, much less comfort us. Unfortunately, it's also in this season when we will face much judgment from society and sometimes even from those dearest to us because they don't understand our season. They will want to impose solution to our despair in an effort to rescue us. They will at times be oblivious to the pain and confusion that we are battling. So, child of God, it's very easy during this time for the enemy to use your lack of community to make you feel like you're the only one going through this and that no one else understands. And the spirit of depression may also be overwhelming you at times. Keep your eyes fixed on Jesus, remembering that He will never leave you nor forsake you.